Ever feel like you're trapped by the internet? You know, paying for something that then just sells your attention right back to the highest bidder? Okay, let's dive into a really radical new vision for how we might just be able to build a truly free internet. And the craziest part? It all starts with sunlight, math, and, well, just contact. You know, it all kicks off with this moment of frustration I think we've all had. You pay your bill, and before you can even close out of the app, boom, a pop-up appears. You literally just paid them for the privilege of them advertising to you. And that simple, infuriating moment, that's the catalyst for rethinking, well, everything.
And that really gets you thinking, right? It brings up this really crucial question. When you go online, are you actually a customer buying a service? Or are you more like a tenant, just renting space in a world that should, fundamentally, belong to all of us? That's the core idea we're jumping into here, the internet's invisible rent. The basic idea is you're paying rent for a commons that should be free. Okay, so think about it. The internet isn't really the wires in the ground, right? That's just one way to get it. No, the internet is the protocol. It's the set of rules for how information gets structured. And the radio waves and light that carry all that data, that's the electromagnetic spectrum. It's a natural resource, just like the air we breathe. It's been around way longer than any company, and you know what? It doesn't charge a dime for delivery. So when you look at your bill, you see things like your data plan, your Wi-Fi, but what you don't see is the real price, the one that's never listed on any bill. It's your attention. I mean, we spend hours and hours a day online, making these platforms a ton of value, and we get nothing for it.
So here's the kicker, the really crucial point. You are being charged twice. First with your money, just for access. And then you're charged again with the hours of your life, with your attention, which gets packaged up and sold off. You become the product. It's a trap, and frankly, most of us don't even realize we're in it.
So how do we break out of this cycle? Well, the solution on the table is just incredibly elegant. And it doesn't start in some massive data center. No, it starts with a single photon of light leaving the sun. This is the beginning of a totally new system.
In this whole journey, it's almost, well, poetic. First, a photon hits a leaf. Then, some algae in a pond, they take that stored energy and turn it into a tiny little jolt of electricity. This tiny bit of power fires up a simple, cheap computer that does just one thing. It signs a mathematical fact. And that signature is then broadcast into the air, riding on the very same airwaves as, like, birdsong, for free.
So what is this fact it's signing? It's called a dot. Now, a dot is not a message. It's not hello or how are you. It is a signed, unforgeable proof, but a contact happened between two things at a very specific time and place. It is pure mathematical certainty. It is not a conversation.
And get this is what really shows how efficient this whole system is. A single dot, it's just 153 bytes. That is ridiculously small. We're talking smaller than a tweet, smaller than a single emoji. It's so tiny it can travel through almost anything. Radio, Bluetooth, even a quick flash of light.
Okay, so what does this actually look like for you, the user? What does it feel like to use an internet built on these dots? Well, for starters, you don't have a feed. Instead, you have a map, or to be more precise, a world line that actually traces your path through the real world. And this is the absolute core difference right here. The feed we all know, it's engineered to keep you scrolling, right? To keep you glued to the screen. The map, your world line, has the exact opposite goal. Its whole purpose, its entire value, is measured by how well it gets you offline and into real, actual contact with people and places. There's no sneaky algorithm deciding what you see, just a map of your actual life.
So the only notification you'll ever get is pretty simple. Your physical path is about to cross with a friend's. And here's the genius part. To prove you actually met, to create that little dot on your world lines, you have to be physically close enough to scan each other's QR codes. The protocol itself enforces proximity and real consensual contact.
All right, next up, the rules of trust. Because this system isn't just about making contact, it's about building real trust. And it does this with a kind of grammar, a set of rules, that structurally make it impossible to lie, or at least impossible to make claims that can't be checked. You know, human language is actually kind of perfect for deception. We can make claims anonymously, we can change our story later, but the grammar of DOTs, it just strips those features away. Every single claim, every DOT,
is signed by a key, so it can't be anonymous, and it's chained to the one before it with a cryptographic link, so its history can't just be secretly rewritten. Now, this doesn't magically make people honest, but it makes every single one of their claims completely auditable.
And the whole thing is governed by these three core principles, which are framed here as fundamental rights. First, the right to scale up and be seen, but also the right to hide and be invisible. Second, the right to build trust publicly while keeping your private life totally sovereign. And third, the right to just be empty, to be silent, without some algorithm punishing you for it. And of course, the right to only allow contact that you actually want.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the implications are honestly pretty profound. We're not just talking about another new app here. We're talking about reclaiming a piece of ourselves, a piece that's been scattered and sold all over the current internet. And I absolutely love this analogy. Think about it. Our identity is totally fractured, right? There's a piece of you on Facebook, another on Amazon, one on Google. Each one holds a little fragment of you. Well, the DOT, which is controlled by your one single private key, it acts like an anti-Horcrux. It pulls all those scattered fragments of your digital soul back into one place, completely under your control. So what do you do once you've put yourself back together? You gather. The argument's kind of like the ancient site of Göbekli Tepe, which was built before cities or farming. You have to build the gathering place first, then the people will come. This system, this app, that is the gathering place. It's the foundation for a whole new way of living, one built on proven, real-world contact. But what's maybe the most powerful part of this whole idea is the claim that it's not really a new invention at all. It's more like recognizing a pattern that was already there in nature. I mean, from that photon hitting a leaf to a star sending out its light across the universe, this pattern is just everywhere. We just finally learned how to pronounce it, how to speak its language. And that brings us right to the heart of it, the ultimate takeaway. We've been looking at the internet all wrong this whole time. It was never the physical stuff, the wires and the servers. It was always about the connection, the signal, the light passing between us. And not light, that connection, it was always free. We just forgot. We let ourselves get convinced that we had to pay someone rent for it. So the real question this leaves us with is, what happens when we all start to remember?